Along to Spielberg. It's the Red Bull Ring and it's the 27th race of the season. An utterly fascinating 2017 season of FIA Formula 3 European Championship Racing. My name's Chris Hartley. I'm here overlooking that view, beautiful view here in the circuit with surroundings that are to die for, frankly. The Styrian Mountains, snow-capped mountains over in the distance in every direction you look. It's a bit more overcast than it was this morning when it was pretty beautiful. Slight bite in the air, but it was around about 20, 21 degrees. But it has got more overcast and it has got cooler. Chris Hartley and Lee Gorman talking you through the third and final race of the weekend with just 3 races to go after this. There you see a glimpse of the championship leader, Lando Norris. Let's talk about points. After the race earlier on today, Lando Norris finishing in second place to Joel Eriksson. We're down to just 2 championship contenders. There is the winner of race 2 of the weekend earlier on today. Joel Eriksson's had a super weekend so far, a first and a second. He's on pole position for this one. But Lando Norris has now got an 84-point lead over Max Gunter. At the end of this race, there will only be 75 points still available. So Gunter needs to get that gap down from 84 points to 74 points. 75 is no good because Lando Norris has got more race wins. So you have to beat Norris. You can't tie on points with him anymore. So Gunter has got to beat Lando Norris by 10 points if he wants to have a chance of taking this to the final round at Hockenheim. But Gunter is behind Lando Norris on the grid because there you've just seen Lando, who once again is going to be lining up on the front row. Yesterday's race winner, Callum Ilott, 4th place in the championship standings. Not too many points, only 11 behind the pole sitter Joel Eriksson. Those two are fighting at the moment for 3rd in the championship, maybe even for 2nd in the championship when we get to Hockenheim. So Callum having a good weekend so far and winning the race yesterday, finishing in 4th place earlier on today. And picking up his second podium in his Formula 3 career so far, Nikita Mazepin with a good 3rd place finish, a very good 3rd place finish earlier on for the High-Tech Grand Prix team there, just getting some fluids on board. He's going to start this race from 4th on the grid. So it's the Swede Eriksson, the Brit Lando Norris on row 1, British driver Callum Ilott and Russian driver Nikita Mazepin on row 2. And then starting 5th and 6th, we're going to have Ralph Aron, the Estonian. There he is, the High-Tech teammate to Nikita Mazepin. He starts in 5th place, his best grid spot of the weekend so far. And then we'll have Max Gunter in 6th. Now, there was a spot of bright, well, slight break in the clouds for Gunter, who had a pretty miserable second race. He had a poor qualifying session yesterday, which is why he's further down the order. He qualified 9th. You can see how much he's concentrating and just, you can see he's taking himself around the circuit there, can't you? Visualising the lap ahead. Well, there was a slight break in the clouds for him in that he was 9th onto the last lap of the race. Then Habsburg had a moment with Jake Hughes, and so he picked up 8th place. And then after the race, Jake Hughes picked up a 10-second penalty, which dropped him back to 13th place. So Max Gunter actually finished that second race in 7th. Not great, I know, but it could have been 9th with a lap to go. So it gave him a few more points, a few more critical points, last year's championship runner-up. As there we look at the drivers on the next row of the grid. Ferdinand Habsburg, the Austrian driver, and the Japanese driver Tadazika Makino, who are going to be starting 7th and 8th in the race. So, Lee, it is entirely possible that we could walk away in less than an hour's time with a new champion in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. Maybe a rookie champion as well. Lando Norris is a rookie, and the driver that's fighting up against him is Jehan Daravala. Jehan is, at the moment, 89 points down. So, again, he's got to bring that gap down to 74. He's got to beat Lando Norris by 15 points if he's to hang on to a chance of winning the rookie championship going to the season finale. And there, Jake Hughes to complete the top 10.
And Jake Hughes, actually, meanwhile, before this race has even started, is under investigation for exceeding the pit lane speed limit while making his way to the grid. That's the kind of misfortune that Jake doesn't need, because if you remember during practice, he actually ran over the one of the curbs, the high yellow curbs out in the track, and it actually damaged his engine. So he had to get an engine change.
That was the reason they had the engine change for and a grid penalty for race 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the grid penalty for race 1. He's gotten penalised for an incident in race 2, and now he's under investigation for pit lane speeding. It's just an investigation. It's not an actual penalty, but we'll see what happens in a few minutes.
Actually, he was talking to us about these curbs, which have been brutal in more ways than one. And it was because he went onto the curbs in qualifying that Callum Ilott cracked the monocoque and had to get the monocoque changed overnight. Prema doing a unbelievable job to get the car changed, kept the engine, so he didn't get a penalty, kept his existing engine, but changed the whole car, working till 4 o'clock in the morning to do that. And then in the same qualifying session, Jake Hughes had damaged the engine on the curbs as well. But he says particularly the last sector, the last 2 corners, you've got to go right to the edge of the curves because you have to carry the speed going through those last 2 turns. You have to go right to the edge of the circuit. If you don't do that, you're not quick enough. If you go ever so slightly wrong, you can't control it. You can't stop the car understeering because there's a steep downhill into those turns. And if you're just a few millimetres out, half a kilometre too quick through the corner, it loses shape. You're on the curbs, you're a passenger, and it's just pot luck whether or not it damages the car.
And also, something we saw in race 2 earlier on today was during the kind of Eriksson battle for the lead in that race. Eriksson does have a tendency to use an awful lot more of the track when it goes onto the back end of the circuit. Really hammers the curbs quite significantly, and that's the kind of thing you don't want it to get too far out. We could be talking just centimetres, and it can be too far out just to damage and possibly end your race. But we are now down to the last 33 minutes plus 1 lap of this race weekend, and we're getting right to the tail end of this championship, Chris.
That's right, just 3 races to go, as I said, after this in, 3 weeks' time at Hockenheim. And Prema might just be about to lose their stranglehold, their multi-year stranglehold over Drivers' Champions. 2011, they won with Roberto Meri. 2012, Daniel Hungadea. 2013, Raffaele Marciello for Prema was the champion. 2014, Esteban Ocon, now an F1 racer, of course. 2015, Felix Rosenqvist for Prema, the champion. And last year, Lance Stroll, also now a Formula 1 driver for Prema Power Team, was the Drivers' Champion. Could be a Carlin driver and Lando Norris, that's the champion at the end of this season. But Max Gunter still has something to say about this. He can still change the results, but he's got to really go for it. You can see just how focused he was on the grid. For the Teams Championship, Prema lead that one by 91 points from Carlin. Your 2 nominated drivers score points. Drivers' points count, so the most you can get is 43 if one of your drivers wins and the other picks up 18 points for second. Prema have got their nominated drivers as Max Gunter and Callum Eilert this weekend. Carlin's nominated drivers are Lando Norris and Ferdinand Habsburg. So at the end of this race, there'll be 129 points still available for the Teams Championship, and then 91 clear. So they might not quite wrap it up here, Prema. They could do, but even if not, they'll have a big lead, should have a big lead going into the finale at Hockenheim. Unless, of course, it all goes wrong for Prema. And Carlin having a stunning race here.
And amazingly, if you, looking back at those past champions, the last time a Prema driver didn't win the championship, 2010, was then a then very, very young Edo Mortara for Signature. I mean, that's really taking us back, isn't it?
Back when it was the Euro Series, yeah, absolutely right. There's the track layout. Turn 1 up to this huge long climb uphill up to Rebus at turn 2. That's the first split. And then the middle sector is the longer sector, and then it's downhill all the way through sector 3. So Joel Eriksson on pole position here. 5 race wins this season, 6 in total for him. Lando Norris second on the grid. The gap between them, based on second fastest lap times, this was just about 1/10 of a second, which is the biggest gap we've had, actually. Air temperature at 17.5 degrees. There's one of the Mick Schumacher fans. There's the man himself. A big queue for the driver autograph session during the break between the 2 races. Lots of people coming to meet these talented young drivers, many of whom are going to be stars in the future. And a lot of them there seem to be carrying Schumacher merchandise. He's got a big fan base already, Mick Schumacher.
Well, watch out, you've got that's Lando Norris on the dirty side of the grid. Second, he's on the front row, second position, but he's got Joel Eriksson just ahead of him, and in third place, just behind Eriksson, is Callum Eilert. They're on the clean side of the grid. That's the racing line. So here's the green flag at the back of the grid. Will Lando be able to get a good start from the dirty side? We shall see in a moment.
We've had some fantastic first laps this weekend. Eriksson versus Eilert in race 1. Lando Norris versus Eriksson in race 2. Let's see what this one brings. Race 27 of the 2017 season is go here, and it's a terrific start for Eriksson. He's gone straight into the lead. Watch for Callum Eilert. He's made a good start, I think, initially, but then slips back, and now comes under fire, and around the outside comes a high-tech car, and Callum Eilot's going to slip back to fourth place here on the run through. So Mazepan has come up through.
That's Aaron.
Aaron into third place. So Ralph Aaron, terrific start there from fifth on the grid, has gone straight through to third. And we got now Lando Norris on the attack here for Eriksson, side by side on the way into the turn. Aaron arrives in third place. Callum Eilot slipping back now, I think behind Nikita Mazepan potentially as well. Contact further back.
It's Guan Yu Zhu spinning in the middle of the pack, and a few other drivers scattering. But meanwhile, it's Joel Eriksson in the lead. But Lando Norris has the inside line. Will he be able to take the lead? Not quite. Lando Norris almost lost it coming into the corner.
He's still together. He's still with him. But the left-hander coming up should be to the advantage of the Swede in the number 1 car. And they're three abreast just behind as well. Ralph Aaron's still just there. It's Eriksson that gets there first. Lando Norris just about
it's Callum Eilot
onto the gravel out wide goes Callum Eilot. A rough ride there for the British driver, who so far has had a great weekend, but it's not a happy race through, I'm afraid. We'll see, hopefully with the replay, what caused that. But it is Eriksson, Norris and Aaron, and then it's going to be Mazepan in fourth. Habsburg comes through into fifth place. There you see a battle between Harrison Newey and Mick Schumacher, both trying to get some points in this race. You can see Norris pulled off that move, and then you just saw alarm bells and championship points flashing through his mind. He backed off just in time as Max Gunter now in the pink Prema car tries to find a gap through, but he's actually lost a place on this first lap. He's gone from 6th to 7th.
Well, he's lost another one, because that's actually Joey Mawson's just overtaken him for 7th place, so Gunther down to 8th, and it's now just behind us Lando Norris trying again for the lead. No room around the outside as we see Habsburg coming back on Makino. Not going to work there. Very good start from Makino, actually coming up the order.
Eilot's into the pits. Callum Eilot.
I would have must have done some damage as we go side by side. Now it's Lando Norris as the wheels interlock.
He's got his
on the way
nose
down
in
into
front.
3. Eriksson holds the lead. Fantastic stuff. But has Norris got the inside as Eriksson goes wide on the long winding turn 4.
These two are going to be fighting for a long time in the future, I reckon, in other categories. Great drivers. Eriksson's still got his nose in front. There's Max Gunter. Eriksson is giving this 100% to fend off Lando Norris. Lando Norris, championship or not, wants to win the race, doesn't he? Unbelievable commitment from both drivers, going toe-to-toe once again here, like they did for the first lap of race number 2 this weekend. They've done it for a couple of laps now, race 3. And all the time, Ralph Ferrari's watching it go on from 3rd place, Mazepan in 4th, Habsburg 5th. And Makino's up to 6th place now. Gunter 7th, was 7th, and behind Mawson, as you said, at Daravala and Hughes in the points at the end of the previous lap to round out the top 10. That was a phenomenal piece of driving. As you said, Lee, they almost interlocked wheels there. How they didn't touch, but giving each other just enough in terms of millimetres to avoid damage there.
And we see as an overtake at the back there, that's Pedro Piquet taking Kian Andres for 16th and 17th place. But the big attention is going to be at the front here. Eriksson's got a little bit of a gap over Lando Norris. Lando Norris quickest overall in sector 1 there, but he's looking to try and lock on to the rear of Joel Eriksson once again as they come down into turn 3. Gunther lost a little bit of time on that first lap. He actually went far too deep into the turn 2 section and kind of overshot it slightly, which cost him a couple of positions, and that's left him in 8th place as we see Mick Schumacher fighting off. He's actually just past Harry Newey.
Yeah,
he's just past Harry Newey. Just behind. Yes,
those three were fighting in the last race, weren't they, all together? There's Joey Mawson fending off Max Gunter. Joey now in 7th place. He's also 2nd in the rookie class here. He was promoted up to 8th place in race 2 when Jake Hughes received that penalty. So it's been a much happier Sunday so far than Saturday for the Australian in the Van Amersfoort car. Doing a good job inside the points in 7th place. There is Deruvalat, number 27, and Jake Hughes, number 34.
Under
going
pressure.
toe-to-toe. Yeah, that's for 9th and 10th positions. Half a second the gap between the top 2. And fastest lap of the race now to Lando Norris. 1 minute 24.280. But a 124.310 for Eriksson means it's only a few hundredths quicker.
Schumacher now up to 11th place after that battle with Newey Beckman challenging Jake Hughes, but we'll see it's a very good getaway from Joel Eriksson. Also a very good getaway from Ralph Aaron. Jumps up into 3rd place as they filter around turn 1.
I thought Eilot looked like he got off the line quite well. But then Aaron, was even better, wasn't he? Round the outside. It was right at the ragged edge there, Ralph Aaron. I think it then delayed Eilar to have to make sure he stayed out of the way, and that caused him to be compromised on the run up towards turn 2.
That
was Scotty Hughes' spin right in front of Pedro Piquet coming out of turn 1.
And you see, that's where Gunther actually lost a little time. He overshot.
Had a go, didn't he?
Yeah, he had to actually take avoiding action and actually delayed him coming back up the hill.
And we're probably going to get a replay of Callum Eilert in a moment. Yeah, here we go. There was contact between him and Ralph Aaron, wasn't there?
Yeah. I think Eilert was unfortunately on the outside line and probably just ran out of road. Not really much either could do about that. There was a yellow flag just a few moments ago in sector 4. It's still out, so I wonder if someone's had a little bit of an off there. That's on the back end of the circuit. It's gone green now.
Callum Eilert haven't gone to the pits, is still in the pits, I'm afraid. So no points in this one for Callum, which means Joel Eriksson's going to be able to pull further away in 3rd place in the championship.
I wonder if he's going to be get out of the car.
Looks like it.
Yeah. Right,
straps the seatbelts. Yeah, there'll probably be some damage too.
And I think is this a replay of what would the
yellow flag? Yes, that's Sori going backwards.
That's Andres Piquet
going backwards, and Beckman going through the gap that's created. Safety car.
Yeah.
Safety car out.
Full course yellow. Now, this is a new introduction for Formula 3 this year, to follow what we see in Formula 1 and World Endurance Championship for Formula 2. Rather than bring out the safety car, there's a nominated speed limit, a kind of pace, a delta time that these drivers have to maintain over the course of the whole circuit. It's
become their own safety car in effect, don't they?
Yes, and when the situation is cleared, the track will be declared green, so you won't need to wait for the drivers to get around to the start-finish line. It'll be waved green at the point when the track is actually made clear.
So part of the thinking of this is that everybody slows down to make it safe. The gaps should remain the same between drivers if they all stick to this nominated maximum speed. And part of the thinking behind all of this is to stop everybody then becoming bunched up behind the safety car. And when people are bunched up behind the safety car, people have ideas about overtaking and taking advantage on the restart. And then quite often, as the old saying goes, safety cars breed safety cars, and you get more carnage because everybody's so tightly bunched together. So this full course yellow, be interested to see how it works and if those gaps do actually remain the same. Eriksson and Norris were already very close together anyway, weren't they? Separated by just about half a second before the incident happened.
Yeah, I mean, it also depends where the green flag falls or the yellow flag falls, because you could be in a fast section of the circuit, the yellow flag comes out, and you have to all of a sudden lose a lot of speed, but it takes you a little bit longer to slow down. But then the guy who's maybe in 5th place, he's already in a slow corner, and he gets the yellow flag when he's already at the optimum speeds. And it's vice versa. If you get the green flag when you're in the middle of a slow corner, you can't necessarily get on the throttle straight away. But if you get the green flag when you're on a straight, then you can almost just shoot down. So it's a little bit to and fro, but I think it's one of the better solutions we've seen, because it's we've seen safety car periods where drivers have had 20-second laps, and here he's just gone green. Eriksson gets a good acceleration.
Norris is going with him though, absolutely going with him. Those two still well clear of Aaron. We saw Joe Mawson was right on the tail of Makino, didn't we, for 6th place as well. So we see how that battle gets on. They're just coming out of the last turn now, but it should be Joel Eriksson that hangs on to the lead of the race here at turn 1 from Lando Norris. Through they come, race leader, championship leader, and if it stays like this, champion. He needs Gunther to finish ahead of him by, as I say, 10 points to take the championship down to the wire. If that doesn't happen, whatever else, Lando Norris is mathematically going to have done it here. But Lando being Lando still wants to win the race, so through he goes onto the tail of Joel Eriksson, and then I said watch out for Joey Mawson, and he's done it, hasn't he? But at the inside he locks a brake, locks a tyre, drags it along the tarmac, but if he can keep the line coming out of the corner, that will put him ahead of Makino, and up to 6th place now for the Australian.
That's a very, very good good overtake there for him. And why is
Habsburg's warming the tyres up? Yeah, gets him into the tyres. Look at Max Gunther behind. Max has got to go on the attack here. He's got no choice. He's got to go through the order here. And this looks like a chance because Makino is there for the taking, but it's not the easiest circuit to overtake on. Joe Mawson already romping away. He's got better and better and better as the weekend has gone on. In the end, contact and a puncture yesterday were his undoing, but he's had a much better day today. And it was a good move, wasn't it, on Makino? You could see quite a smart restart as well from the Formula 4 star of last year. that he was lining that up and was always going to have a go on this restart lap. So Mawson through to 6th, McKenna down to 7th, Gunter in 8th place, Deruvela and Schumacher 9th and 10th, I believe, still, as it comes through over the start-finish line. Yes, they are. So Jake Hughes just outside the points in 11th place. There is McKenna, there is Gunter in the number 3 Prema car. Weekend started brightly. He was on provisional pole for much of the first qualifying session, and then right at the end, Callum Ilott nicked it away from him on Friday. And then front row of the grid, finished 3rd. Not great, but okay. But then the qualifying session, which sets the grid for races 2 and 3, really has scuppered his chances this weekend. Locking up the brakes, pushing on hard. He's not close enough yet, though, is he? McKenna, a much improved driver.
He's locking up quite regularly. He's not had the best of weekends, I've said, since Friday. Didn't have the best start in the race yesterday and kind of struggled a bit in qualifying. Talking that the balance really wasn't quite where he wanted it. And, well, that's... is under investigation. There is Guan Yu Zhu is under investigation for leaving the track and gaining an advantage, as is Joey Mawson, 6th place. And interestingly enough, Joey Mawson actually set the fastest first sector overall, which includes turn 1.
Shows he was probably being held up a bit, didn't it? Last year's German Formula 4 champion. There he is in the 96 car, his next target. It's going to be another high-tech driver. He's dispatched of one, the Japanese driver. Next target, the Russian high-tech driver, Nikita Mazepin, who's been a podium finisher this weekend. We'll see what the relative lap times are like, but I think the gap is coming down. Let's see, Mazepin, personal best actually, 124.6. Mawson just a couple of tenths slower on that lap, even though he started the lap very well indeed.
Eriksson's pace has been absolutely perfect again, you know, in the early 1 minute 24s. Norris a little bit quicker, but he's not close enough yet to really, although he's closed up a little, but not really where it counts. It's a little bit too late to be close enough. But can Norris get around the ends? I think Norris is still too far behind to really press Eriksson coming down this straight.
There's the Carlin team who are running, of course, Lando Norris, and at the moment running him towards the 2017 title. They're in 2nd place. Lando is a McLaren, on the McLaren Junior programme as well, and Joel Eriksson is on the BMW Junior programme. One day, might they both end up racing together in Formula 1, and might they replay that lap, or those 2 laps that we had here at Spielberg, as an example of just how these two came together, locked horns head-to-head in their junior careers.
Schumacher has gotten past Jake Hughes, now in the top 10, and pressing Jehan Daruvala in 9th place to get past the next Carlin driver. Solid weekend, I think, for Mick Schumacher. Did well in race 1, but kind of scuppered in race 2 by poor qualifying yesterday evening.
It's a battle for a trophy as well, because the leader of the rookie categories, Lando Norris, in 2nd place. Joey Mawson in 6th place is the 2nd highest placed rookie. Deruvela, they're in 9th, and Schumacher, they're in 10th, are 3rd and 4th best rookies. So they are fighting for the final spot on the rookie podium in this race, those two drivers. At the moment, the Indian having the upper hand on the German. There they are. And just behind the pair of them, Jake Hughes, the GP3 race winner in his first full season in the Euro Championship, having dipped his toe in the water, like Lando Norris at the last round of the 2016 season at Hockenheim.
And Shuey, the fastest overall Sector 1 on that last lap, primarily because he's actually in the... Oh, and it's a drive-through penalty, by the way, for Jake Hughes, pushing of the car. That must have been the early incident, possibly with Newey, I think it was, Newey and Beckman.
It's been what you might call an annoying day for Jake Hughes after a stellar weekend with a win and 2 second-place finishes at the Nürburgring.
Actually, sorry, it was a collision between Jake Hughes and Guan Yu Zhu.
For pushing another car, which would be that first lap incident, I guess.
Yeah.
19 minutes remaining on the clock. So at the moment, Lando Norris is going to pick up 18 points, and Max Gunter in 8th place is only going to pick up 4 points. The gap grows by 16 points. It grows to 100 points. Only 75 points left for grabs once they get to Hockenheim. So Lando Norris is just under 19 minutes away from being crowned in advance of Hockenheim champion-elect in the category. But as we so often see in motor racing, don't count your chickens. So you see the checkered flag. Lando Norris, he's looking at the inside for the lead of the race. Unbelievable, this, isn't it?
That was a bit. That really wasn't.
We didn't see that coming, did we? I don't think Joel Eriksson probably saw it coming either. Lando Norris is feisty. He wants to win the race here. He's not interested in second place at all.
But he was completely out of sync there coming into turn 2 and almost took Eriksson out. I just wonder if he's just slightly misjudged his braking on the approach into that corner, but he's still there. He's still chasing Eriksson, still looking for an opportunity to get the lead in this race. Meanwhile, just had a notice coming on the board as well. The under investigation is the lap 1 collision between Ralph Aron and Kalamila that took Kalamila eventually out of the race. Aron's still running in 3rd place, so that could actually be a key position in this race up for grabs still.
That's right. It would be Ralph's 3rd podium finish of the year if he can do that. He actually got the podium in the last round at the Nürburgring. Prior to that, he was on the podium at the Pau Grand Prix, the final race of the weekend around the streets circuit in France. Eriksson just half a second clear of Norris still as they go through, but a 2.8 second gap back to 3rd to Ralph Aron there. Max Gunter, the only other driver now that can take the championship title as Jake Hughes comes into the pits to serve his penalty. Habsburg under investigation for leaving the track and gaining an advantage in turn 3 on lap 1. So he's now being looked at, Ferdinand Habsburg, who is currently running in 4th place. So 3rd and 4th place under investigation.
Yes, that is actually where Habsburg, I think, jumped or attempted to jump Ralph Aron on the first lap. He went clean off the circuit. So yeah, this is all for the first lap of the race.
Lots to review for the race officials at the moment. They're doing that as we speak, as the race goes on here. With the top 2 through, the gap still half a second, but in the first sector, fractionally quicker, a 10th quicker, was Lando Norris. I'd say, all in all, most of today, Lando has been the quickest in the first sector of the lap, but Joel Eriksson is mighty in the middle of the lap, isn't he?
He's actually mighty in the middle of the lap, quite even in the final sector, and that's how that helps. Is with Eriksson being so quick in the middle sector and in the final sector, it actually extends the gap he has over Norris, so that when it comes to the fast sections of the circuit, Norris isn't actually close enough to take advantage of being quicker there anyway. So even though he's a car that's set up for a little bit more balance, a little bit more downforce, Eriksson is able to do the lap times to actually keep him ahead of Lando Norris.
Right, for 2 laps running, Joey Mawson in 6th place has taken 0.3 of a second out of Nikita Mazepin. This is the battle for 5th place. It means the gap now is down to just 0.4 of a second. So Mawson is more or less onto the tail of the Russian now in the battle for 5th spot. So we'll keep an eye on the progress of those two. There are the leaders. We're in pairs, aren't we? 1st and 2nd together, 3rd and 4th together, and then you can see in the background, 5th and 6th together. Jake Hughes back into the pits to round out. It's been a miserable day for him in the end, but we're back, I'm sure. There he is, coming through for the 2nd time and serving his drive-through penalty, and also having a look at the front of the car now as well.
He's actually already served a drive-through penalty last time round. This is for a new front wing.
So just a prolonged test session this now becomes. Front runners have gone through. Look how close it is. 124.025 for Eriksson, 124.032 for Norris. 7 thousandths of a second between them. These are 2 immensely talented young men. It's been an honour to watch them, hasn't it? They've been absolutely fantastic here today, and the field is full of them. Great young drivers in this championship. Many of them will be making a name for themselves, a career as racing drivers, I'm absolutely sure. Formula 3, as ever, a great platform for these young drivers to show their skills. And a
5-second time penalty for Joey Mawson at the end of this race for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. 5-second time penalty for Guan Yu Zhu for leaving the track and gaining advantages. Norris looks again down the inside of turn 2. That's just not going to work there.
He's trying. Every time he tries, though, Eriksson keeps an eye on the mirror and knows what's coming, doesn't he?
But also 5-second time penalty for Ferdinand Habsburg for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. And this actually brings will bring Mazepin back up to 4th and Makino up to 6th or 5th place. Drop Habsburg and Mawson 5 seconds down the track, 5 seconds down the order, respectively.
Yeah, we'll put Mawson just out of the points, I think. Once they're the 5 seconds behind Schumacher for the moment. But if he's quick enough to pull further away from Schumacher, he still get some points out of this.
And that's a big off.
That's a rough old ride there.
For one of the motor parks.
It's
Beckman. It's Beckman.
Or is it now right in front of Beckman, I think. It's, just behind that. I think it might have been Sato.
Which would be unfortunate for Sato. Sato's currently 11th place. He's not scored a single point yet this season, and all he needs is one driver in front of him to fall out, and he will finally get that single point that he's been looking for all season long.
So that was in the middle sector of the lap where the yellow flags had been out, and there you can see
it was Florescu,
yeah, I think it might have a penalty down in 16th place after the contact, which then sent him into a spin. Difficult weekend again for Guan Yu Zhu. Here, the Ferrari development driver. You can see the damage to the front of his car as well. So carrying a car which is slightly second-hand in this race, Guan Yu Zhu on the Ferrari Driver Academy program, very highly thought of, and a British and European front-running kart racer before he came into Formula 4. Italian Formula 4 with Prema, where he was a front runner-up and runner-up in the championship, and then Formula 3 for 2 seasons now. A rookie last year, and this year coming back for a second crack at it. There is Lando Norris, rookie, first season in the championship for him. You wouldn't know it by the way he's been driving this, though.
Really winging that car. It is a very, very pointy car. It sometimes looks as if it's about to lose the back end, but it's just such stability towards the back end. And this is something the Carlin boys were talking about earlier on this year as well. With this new car, they have just so much more stability than they had with last year's car, that they can actually, the drivers are able to get on the throttle a lot earlier than they have been in previous cars. And you can see that it's very pointy, but they're not running the risk or not running the fear of the back end stepping out when they do stamp on the throttle like that. And it's one of these things that's helped Norris to his championship charge so far this year, and with only 11 minutes and 45 seconds remaining plus 1 lap, it could be something that we're about to see sewn up very shortly.
Lando Norris, the 17-year-old, just 17 years of age, showing his nose again to Joel Eriksson, member of the McLaren Honda Driver Development Programme, a talented kart racer, a British Championship kart racer, championship winner in the UK, championship winner in the World Karting Championships. His brother, Oliver Norris, was a very handy kart racer as well, and then he's come up through the junior single-seater ranks, and he's basically won everything he's done so far, and he might just be, as Lee says, 12 minutes away from winning the 2017 European Formula 3 Championship.
What were you doing when you were 17, Chris?
I was racing karts, but I wasn't quite at this level. Let's say that. Yeah, incredible, isn't it? 17 years of age. And, you know, you speak to these guys, 17, 18, 19, you wouldn't know it if somebody didn't tell you their age. They're so mature, aren't they, for their age? Intelligent young men. Whoa, big moment there for Joel Eriksson. Corrects it immediately, but that was seat of the pants stuff from Joel, and that was a hairy moment, but it could have all been over, but the reaction saved it, didn't they? I
think very fortunate that he had just enough of a lead to not have to worry too much about Norris coming up from behind.
I'd have been more worried about being in the barriers if I'd been behind the wheel of the car. God, that was a high-speed moment. He just takes it in his stride there, doesn't he? Max Gunter, I'm afraid, has, again, been a bit anonymous in the race, hasn't he? He hasn't quite had the pace to come through. He's locking
his left front brake up quite a lot.
It seemed like that the car has got the handling today, has it, that it had on Friday.
He's been talking for a lot this weekend about just a lack of balance and a lack of confidence on the brakes, and just wondering if it's something they've not been able to fix, and he's still feeling that lack of confidence. And it really has hampered his last 2 races. He, as I said, classified 7th in race 1. And it looks like he may finish 8th here as well. Only 4 points from this race if it finishes like this.
So Eriksson leads from Norris. Aaron is 3rd, just over 3.5 seconds back. Habsburg is in 4th place, but add a 5-second time penalty on. That puts him behind Mazepan, and it puts him level at the moment with Makino, who's exactly 5 seconds behind him. So he might only lose 1 place as it stands.
I think as the last 10 minutes or so of this race, he'll hopefully be able to, he'll be able to build up enough of a gap to slot into, and maybe only lose a position if he loses a position at all.
So it should be Mazepan promoted up to 4th once the penalty is added at the end of the race to Habsburg. He might still be 5th. Mawson is 6th at the moment, but he had 5 seconds onto him as well, and that still puts him behind Schumacher, just outside the points in 11th.
Mawson loses the most out of the 3 that were penalised, really. Guan Yu Zhu, who's already out of the race, and Norris keeps looking at the inside, but the problem with that, he's not actually ever close enough to really make the move there, but also that hampers his exit down onto the straight towards turn 3, so he's not even able then to get a good run on. Look how much Gunther's having to fight the car. He looks like he's got no confidence whatsoever to get on the throttle once exiting the corner.
He seems to have it underneath him. We know he's a hugely talented driver, Max Gunther, runner-up in the championship last year to Lando Norris, second in the championship this year, all the race wins that he's had, but that just hasn't been working for him today, I'm afraid, and it's beginning to slip away, and it's beginning to go the way of Lando Norris here.
And interestingly enough, this, if it stays like this, it could actually brings Eriksson into second in the championship, 2 points ahead of Maxi Gunther as well. So
it's been a mega weekend after a few weekends of struggling with the car a bit, hasn't it, with Motor Park and Joel Eriksson. So 2 wins, the second place yesterday. Almost perfect weekend this, and the team has worked really hard to get the car better and better as the weekend's gone on. He was a tenth and a half off the pace in qualifying, which doesn't sound a lot, which is a big amount though in Formula 3 on Friday, and they've clawed it back, and each time he's gone out it's been better and better. And what a rugged defence he put up of the lead of the race when Norris was all over him for a couple of laps earlier on. You can well imagine Norris's family watching this and having kittens every time he shows his nose up the inside into turn 1, can't you? But he survives.
I don't understand why he's doing that. He's not far enough to make that dive down the inside work, unless he feels he's taking a quicker on that line than he is on the regular line, but it actually keeps dropping him too far behind Eriksson to make a move into turn 3.
Maybe just trying to unsettle the race leader as well by showing his nose in the mirrors.
Maybe if he did it for the first time and maybe for the second time, but not every lap, because very quickly Eriksson's a driver who will get used to that. He knows full well what Norris is trying to do, but it's an old trick in Eriksson's book by now.
Well, a BRDC superstar, the British Racing Drivers Club, giving him one of their top honours. And last year, Lando Norris in the UK winning the prestigious McLaren Autosport BRDC award. And you can see just how highly he is thought of in his home country and internationally as well, with, say, McLaren Honda keeping a very keen eye on this young man's progress. You remember the name, you're going to be hearing a lot more of Lando Norris over the next couple of decades, I reckon. Lando pushing on here, doing his best still, despite the fact that he doesn't really need to, championship-wise, to harass and harangue the race leader, Joel Eriksson. But you talk about Lando Norris, what a great season he's had. What about Motor Park and Joel Eriksson? Yes, they might not win the championship. They won't win the championship this year, but he's a mighty force to be reckoned with, isn't he?
Now I think he might be close enough. If we can only just get a shot of Lando Norris coming down, this is what we need to see. This is what we need to see, because Norris changed his tactics slightly coming into turn 2 and has allowed him to get much closer to Eriksson this time around. Is he going to make it into turn 3? Not quite.
See Eriksson looking in the mirrors all the time, can't you? Looks forward, looks again in the mirrors.
And he's hit it! He's hit! They've hit!
Eriksson's still in front, but bodywork flying off. Now, was that the back of Eriksson's car or the front?
That's front wing. I think that's front wing gone. That's one of the main planes gone from Norris's car. He's damaged the front wing. Even the end plates, it's all gone.
He's slowing up. Lando Norris is slowing up. Oh, 5 minutes to go. He's just got to bring the car home. He can't even afford to finish behind Max Gunther.
But here's the thing. Just, do you pit? If you're 5 minutes from the end of this race and you've got a damaged front wing, because if you pit, it doesn't matter. You fall to 17th, 18th place. If I'm Norris, screw it. Stay out. You might lose 4 or 5 positions potentially by the end of the race, but at least you'll actually be on track. You'll get points.
Let's have a replay. He got too close. As close as you can. Yeah, there's the end plate going.
You got too close. That's unfortunately comes down to Lando in this instance.
Weaving around and then just tried to pull back to the outside. It's just a narrow, marginal amount, but at those speeds it was enough to cause the damage. Still running in second place, but falling away from the race leader pretty rapidly. Second's more than good enough, though, for the championship title.
But he's going to struggle when it comes to the back end of the circuits. These long straights and the tight corners, that's not as big a deal, but it's when it comes to the back end.
Oh, what's happening here? This is Max Gunther, fighting away with the wheel, just sliding around again. It's been a real handful this weekend, hasn't it, I'm afraid?
He really is struggling in a big way with that car. But Lando Norris, he's going to be struggling massively when it comes to the back end of the circuit, because it's going to be some of the corners he'll struggle to actually make it round in a couple of time. And it's not just yet, because that's actually probably going to be in a lap or two, because these are the laps where he actually scrubs.
See him understeering there on the curb, aren't you?
Yeah, he's going to be scrubbing the tyres, the front tyres, so much, just trying to actually get around these corners. So it might be the next lap or the lap after that where he'll really be struggling for grip. But he also just may say, okay, forget it, let these guys by and just pick up as many points as you can. Don't fight it. There's no need to fight it if you absolutely don't have to.
Now, look at this for position just behind, although Ferdinand Habsburg has got a 5-second penalty. He's right to the tail of Ralph Aron. He could do without this because he wants to try and find a way past Lando Norris. So they're all concertinaing up second, third and fourth. Habsburg has got a 5-second penalty, though. But the others might not necessarily know that, though, might they?
Habsburg will feel they need to get past them, because if he can actually get ahead of Norris and actually spread maybe a 5-second gap to the guys behind him, because Norris is going to be holding people up. That's what they're probably going to be looking at now. Yeah.
You'd think over the team radio they probably have communicated it to the others. Habsburg will know for sure, but it's not really slowing him down, is it? He's just going to do his best here, the Carlin driver. Now remember, Habsburg there is a Carlin driver, and 2 places ahead of him, Norris is a Carlin driver. So you've got to, each man to his own, but you've got to think about that for the team and for Lando Norris as well. But Lando's just keeping them at bay at the moment.
But why isn't Aaron closing up on them closing up? And I'm surprised at that. He should be able to close up to quite an extent.
The last lap for Lando was a 1:25.2. That was a second off the pace he has been doing, so he's losing a second a lap.
This is the sector of the course where Lando's really going to be struggling a little bit more. As I said, first sector and part of sector 2 aren't really going to matter as much, because there's an awful lot of straight and a few hard braking, but it's the second half of sector 2 and all of sector 3 is where Lando's going to be struggling a little bit more. And Habsburg's just there. It's 0.2 of a second, but it's not close enough at this point for him to make a move past Aaron. If Habsburg gets past Aaron, I think Norris will let him through easily.
Yeah, Habsburg's got to sort of crack on to try and build up an advantage, because he's got this 5 seconds to add on to his own time. So if he can get through, he'll absolutely try and do that. But Norris is driving around the problem now. You see this so often with quality racing drivers. It takes them a couple of laps, they figure it out, they adjust their driving style. He's getting a bit quicker now, 1:25.0. So a couple of tenths quicker than the previous lap, even though he's got the same amount of damage to the car.
That's Matt Ogle there, the guy who was closest to the screen, who's Lando Norris's engineer and really wants this championship.
Lando, take it easy, he says from the pit wall.
Well, that's something along the lines of what he was saying.
Yeah, good lip reading, I think. Lando's just trying to make this interesting for everybody, isn't he? Give us all a heart attack. I suppose in Lando's mindset, which is just to win races, though, you know, even if it all goes pear-shaped on this one, he's still going to have a lead going into Hockenheim. But, you know, you've got to be careful. Things can go wrong very quickly. Just ask Callum Eilert in race 3. Just ask Max Gunther, who looked like he was going to have a great weekend after qualifying on Friday evening. So, you know, Lando Norris, it may be one of the lives used up there, and he'll just take it easy now, hopefully, to bring it home.
I think to a degree, if I'm high tech, and as soon as Ralph Aaron gets out of the car, my first question is going to be, why couldn't you catch the guy who had a broken front wing?
Well, it's getting quicker now, quicker and quicker. So 1:25.2 becomes a 1:25.0, becomes a 1:25.8. He's going quicker and quicker. He's getting back up to pace now. So that lap was only half a second slower than Joel Eriksson's lap.
I think Joel Eriksson's actually probably cooled it at this stage.
Oh, a bit, but 1:24.3 still good.
But it still stands. Aaron with a perfectly healthy car, why isn't he actually catching and pressuring Lando? He's not even really pressuring Lando at the moment, which is a kind of a bigger concern, as we're now on the penultimate lap. At the end of this lap, they'll get the one more lap signal, and that will this be it for Lando Norris and Carlin Motorsport? It's
going to feel like he'll be fine, he'll be calm. Matt Ogle will probably be fairly calm. Everybody watching will not be calm. It's going to seem like a very, very long lap, isn't it?
Trevor Carlin is going to be having kittens down in the...
I've never seen it all before. He's fine. Been doing this for 2 decades.
But it would be Carlin's first European Championship, and that's a big tick in the box for a team who've had so much success in other championships.
Utterly dominated British Formula 3, haven't they, over the years? Utterly dominated it. Right, here we go. Talk about the championship. Don't forget, Joel Eriksson's going to win this race, isn't he? Absolutely super weekend for the Swede. Has been, as ever, a real star here in Austria. There, though, in second place, 1 lap away from being the champion of 2017 is Lando Norris. But with Ralph Aron quite close to him, giving him a bit more stress than he'd probably like. And Ferdinand Habsburg there just behind in 4th place.
And you can see Norris looking in the mirrors there, covering the line, make sure he can hold the position as well. As Aaron goes to the outside, Norris defends to the inside. Norris holds it but goes a little bit wide. Aaron gets on the throttle again. Can he make the move into turn 3? This is the last opportunity for Ralph Aaron if he wants to take second place.
He's going to have a go.
Norris.
He's going to have a go. Looking around the outside here, half a lap to go. Tries to switch.
Oh, don't do that! Don't do that! Oh no! They've hit! Unbelievable!
Norris into the gravel trap, out of the race. Through goes Habsburg. Oh, Carlin, you got to wait to celebrate. You can't do it yet. Or can you?
I think he
Max
can.
Gunter, don't forget, Max Gunter has got to outscore Lando Norris by 10 points. And Max Gunter is not yet doing that. He needs to be finishing a bit higher up the order. So he might still win the championship here, Lando Norris, depending on where Max Gunter comes out in all of this with penalties above. But it's Joel Eriksson that wins the race here and weaves his victory celebration once more. Super drive by Joel Eriksson to win the race. Second place over the line is going to go the way of Habsburg, but he's got a 5-second penalty. So I reckon Mazepan, third over the line, is second. Joey Mawson crosses the line fourth, but he's got a 5-second penalty as well. So it should be fourth to Makino, equaling his best result. And fifth place to Max Gunter. And fifth place gives Max Gunter, guess how many points?
12. 10? 12.
10. And he needs to be, that's exactly the amount he needs to be closing up to keep it close. So fifth place, 8 points. Isn't it? Let's work it out. Eriksson, the winner. Mazepan second. The screen's now corrected itself. Makino third. Habsburg fourth. Gunter is confirmed as fifth.
That's 10 points. That's 10 points.
So fifth place is going to be 8 points.
No, 10, because it's 25, 18, 15, 12, 10.
15, 12, 10. 10 points.
So that keeps Gunther in it by a single point. I need to see a replay of this because it was a last-ditch dive by Aaron for the position, but Lando defends very heavily. But Aaron makes the move, and he's out of control here. Aaron is out of control here. He's gone too deep. Lando has covered the line. Aaron needed to get out of that. He should have stayed on the outside.
He backed off out of the move. He wasn't trying the move, but he couldn't slow the car down in time, could he?
He should have stayed on the outside. What I can't understand is why he's moved to the middle of the road, and he's not got too much speed. He's carried too much speed into the corner and actually slammed into the back of Lando Norris.
Well, drama. It's not been won yet, we reckon.
But you know what? I think
don't talk to me, says Lando Norris. But Ralph Aaron tries to explain his thoughts.
They've gotten out of the car. I think Lando's disappointed, but I think he'll get over it. He'll know.
Smiles, shakes his hand.
But I think deep down he knows Gunther's down in fifth, maybe around 5th to 6th place.
Yeah, he's not won it yet, we reckon. So 10 points for Gunter. That brings the gap back down to 74. There's 75 available. So. Max, you're going to go Hockenheim. You're still slim, but you've still got a chance. Lando, look, deflated. Party.
And let's see what's the Premier reaction. What's the Premier reaction? And they're shocked as well.
It's the same reaction we had, I think, isn't it? Can't believe it, Rennie Rostad. Can't believe it.
Is that a wry smile from Rennie underneath? No,
no, don't get him in trouble. And of course, for Prema, that's a Carlin car, a points-scoring Carlin car out of the race. So that's good for their team championship as well. What's going on, he says. And of course, all of this only happened because Lando Norris lost that bit of his front wing. And got sucked into the battle in the first place.
Matt's mouthing something there, but...
Sorry, says Ralph. I say, he tried the move, he worked around, and then he realised it couldn't happen. He tried to slow the car down, and it wouldn't stop. Goodness me, can you believe it? Can you believe it? Well, we're going to go down to the season finale with... technically, 2 drivers that can still win the championship.
I think this is, off the top of my head, the first time in about 5 years where it's actually has gone to the final round. So, whew.
Oh, Max, somebody's going to give you a calculator and a big abacus in a minute. And, well...
He probably thinks he's lost it. He probably thinks he's actually lost it.
Well, he's still going to be particularly happy with the weekend, is he?
I wonder if anyone's actually told him yet that he still has the slimmest of chances.
All you've got to do, Max, is win all 3 races and hope Lando Norris doesn't score a point.
And meanwhile, this might mean nothing now, but no further action for the investigation between the Lando Norris and Joel Eriksson incident.
Right. Yes, which was what caused all that. the knock-on effect was Lando slipped back into the clutches of Ralph Ron. Could also just point out that in race 2 earlier on today, Max Gunter picked up 2 places on the last lap of the race. And he's picked up 2 places on the last lap of this race as well. So, yes, it's not been a good day for Gunter, but could have been worse.
Very, very good day for that man, Joel Eriksson.
Awesome.
2 wins and a second place yesterday. That's a massive points haul.
And a first podium for Makino. First podium for Makino.
May I just also point out, 10th place, Sato, his first point of the year for Motorpark.
Good day for Japan. There you go.
But that's a great score for Makino as well. He's been building up nicely the last couple of rounds, and that's good to see him actually finally on the podium. And there's a lot of people in Japan who'll be very, very happy to see that. And he's a guy who we hope to see next year again as well.
We saw Tom Dillman in the background again, involved with Motorpark. Good day for him. So he can up the fees now. He's got his man taking 2 victories out of 2 today.
And Joel's brother, Jimmy, who's a former European F3 racer as well, now racing in the Blancpain GT series. He's there with Motorpark each week as well. This actually, I haven't really worked it out in my head yet, but this will actually also bring Gunther back into 2nd position in the championship, I think, by the 2 positions he gained on that last lap.
So Lando Norris, in 27 races, has only had, up until that moment, 2 retirements, and that was the 3rd. And he was, half a lap away from winning the championship. Crikey, if it all goes wrong in Hockenheim, he's going to rue today, isn't he? Still got a strong chance, hasn't he? But
we saw that yesterday in race 1 when he made that last dash move on Makino for P4, and you kind of think you didn't need to do that.
Makes it exciting to watch, though, doesn't it? Makes it a proper racing driver. Was it? Senna said, if you no longer go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver.
I actually think he said, if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. And I think that's the bit where a lot of young drivers get confused. But Lando Norris, he didn't need to actually push Eriksson that hard. He could have actually sat behind him for those last couple of laps, picked up the points, and that would have been it.
Wanting to win the race, though. Wanting to win the race. John Eriksson's pretty hard to overtake, though. Lesson learned. Eriksson wins. Mazepan in 2nd place, equaling his best result, and that's definitely his best weekend ever in Formula 3. Tadasuke Makino in 3rd place with his first podium. High-tech with 2 drivers on the podium. Habsburg, despite the penalty, finishes 4th. Gunter finishes 5th, closes the gap to 74 points, stays just about in the championship fight. And well done, Jan Daravala, because with all of the excitement, he wins the rookie category in 6th place. Joey Mawson, despite the penalty, finishes his best of the weekend in 7th, and he's 2nd in the rookies, so it's another podium for Joey. And Mick Schumacher is the 3rd highest placed rookie in 8th place, so he picks up a rookie trophy as well. David Bettman in 9th picks up points, and as you say, Makino Sato finally gets some points, or 8 points in the championship for 10th place. And
you see actually all the Carlin boys were just on the screen there a few moments ago. They're going to be celebrating Daravala winning the rookie class today, but I think they're also going to have quite a bit of applause for Joel Eriksson, who I think drove wonderfully today. And Joel's a guy you kind of want in your team. He's a very, very good racer, very quick, very talented.
Cool as a cucumber as well, isn't he?
And part of the BMW drivers standing group for a reason.
Right, well, we were right. Added up, 49, 59, 69, 79, 89, 99, 09, 72 points. So, yeah, even better. 72 points behind, according to that. But either way, it's got to go down between those 2 men to the season finale, the final 3 races. That is the moment that might just define the weekend, define the championship.
Some interesting hand signals there from Lando in the car, but I think he was kind of applauding sarcastically Ralph Aaron after that.
It's a gutted Lando Norris, isn't it? Good to see the genuine sportsmanship between these 2 drivers, though, isn't it? Anyway, that was the drama. There's the race winner. For the 2nd time today, absolutely brilliant drive from Joel Eriksson. Big smile on his face. And he goes to the top step of the podium. He knows his way now.
That's a 6th win of the season and 7th overall in Formula 3. Very good effort for the young Swede. As we see, Mazepan taking his 3rd podium of the season. He's in 2nd place.
And 3 in recent rounds as well.
Here's a guy who's going to get a big applause. Really coming together for Makino now.
Yeah, he's had a really solid weekend, hasn't he? Good drive yesterday to 5th, almost 4th yesterday as well. So he's had 2 4ths and a 3rd now in the last 2 rounds of the championship. So it is Joel Eriksson's national anthem that plays out here in Spielberg. Well, there's a race to talk about. Joel Eriksson, the race winner, harassed all the way through that by Lando Norris. Eventually, the two came together. Damage to the front wing of Norris then sent him back down into the paths of Ralph Aron on the last lap. The pair came together and both out of the race. So, Joel Eriksson takes the race win in the VW-powered motorpark car. Amel Reuter, double Le Mans winner, to present the winning trophy to the team Team Motorpark rather, winning the trophy for the second time today. Motorpark with the win with Joel Eriksson earlier on, of course, and Wilhelm Singer, who looks after the FIA Rally Commission, presents a second trophy of the day to Nikita Mazepan. There's High Tech. Good day for High Tech. Really good day for Motorpark. The winners of both the race in terms of the driver and team. And a broad smile on the face of Tadasuke Makino, the Japanese driver, up onto the podium. And God, here's one for the Statos. When was the last time we had a Japanese driver up on the F3 podium in the European Championship?
Oh, don't.
Right, get the calculator out for Hockenheim, get the archive book out for that fact. Well, what a breathtaking race that was. The duel, again, between Eriksson and Norris was phenomenal. And I sincerely hope we get to see those two do battle again one day in Formula One, because I think both deserve to be there, don't they? There's the champagne spray. Joel Eriksson, super day at the office.
It'd be so unusual to see a rookie podium that doesn't have Lando Norris on it as well. It's going to be Daravala, Mawson and Schumacher.
Which keeps Daravala in the standings with the championship chance for the rookies as well, of course, because he's picked up 25 points there. Of course, so Daravala could still win the rookie standings, just about.
And it was a very good last few laps there from Joey Mawson to actually be in a position where he's overcome his 5-second penalty, because originally that would have projected him down in 12th to 13th place. Yeah, I think he's actually taken 7th overall with some sterling last few laps there.
Yeah, it's been a pretty decent day for Joey, hasn't it? Champagne for these boys. Champagne on ice, though, for Carlin and for Lando Norris. He's not quite there. Drama here in Spielberg from Leo Gorman and me, Chris Hartley. Bye for now. Those short highlights.